The rain in Blackwood Falls doesn't just fall. It drowns the secrets of the valley in a cold, gray shroud. On the night of November 14th, the silence of the woods was broken not by the wind, but by a single, desperate scream that ended as abruptly as it began. When the police found the body of 22-year-old Elena Vance, the scene was disturbingly clean. No DNA, no struggle. Just a single silver coin placed delicately over her heart. The lead detective closed the folder 3 months later, confident they had caught the vagabond killer after a local drifter confessed under duress. They thought the nightmare was over. They thought the town could sleep again. But as the sun set on the day of the execution of the primary suspect, a package arrived at the precinct. Inside was a second silver coin and a Polaroid of a woman who hadn't even been reported missing yet. The realization hit like a physical blow. They hadn't caught the monster. They had only cleared the stage for his second act. Elena Vance was the kind of person who made everyone feel like the center of the universe. A gifted cellist with a scholarship to Juilliard, she was the pride of Blackwood Falls, a town that usually only made the news for its declining timber industry. The setting of our story is crucial. Blackwood is a place where everyone knows your name, but nobody knows your business. It's surrounded by dense, ancient pine forests that seem to swallow the light. The date was a Tuesday, a mundane evening that shifted into a tragedy. Elena was last seen leaving the community center at 8:42 p.m. Her car was found idling in the middle of the road, the driver's side door swung wide open, her cello still in the back seat, vibrating slightly from the hum of the engine. There were no skid marks, no signs of a struggle, just a half-eaten apple on the passenger seat and the eerie glow of the headlights cutting through the fog. The initial response was a whirlwind of blue and red lights. Sheriff Marcus Thorne, a man whose face was a map of 20 years of small-town trauma, led the charge. The evidence was maddeningly scarce. The silver coin, a 1924 piece dollar, was the only signature. Within weeks, the pressure from the media and the grieving Vance family became a crushing weight. When they found Elias Thorne, a mentally unstable man living in the woods with Elena's missing keychain in his pocket, the narrative wrote itself. Elias couldn't provide an alibi. He stammered, he cried, and eventually he signed a confession that he likely didn't even understand. The town exhaled. The case was solved. The trial was swift, the sentencing even swifter. But justice, as they would soon learn, is blind, and sometimes it's also remarkably easy to fool. 3 days after Elias was moved to death row, the package arrived. It wasn't just the Polaroid that chilled the detectives to the bone, it was the date stamped on the back. Yesterday. The woman in the photo was Sarah Miller, a local librarian who had been seen at the grocery store only hours prior. While the police were patting themselves on the back for closing the Vance case, the real predator had been watching from the shadows, mocking their incompetence. This wasn't a copycat. This was the original architect. The investigation was forced to restart in total secrecy to avoid a public riot. They realized the keychain found on Elias had been planted a breadcrumb trail left by a killer who enjoyed the game of cat and mouse more than the kill itself. As the police retraced their steps, they found a pattern they had missed. The silver coins weren't random. Each one was minted in a year that corresponded to a significant disappearance in the state's history, dating back 50 years. This wasn't a spree, it was a legacy. The killer wasn't a drifter, he was a historian of pain. The tension in the precinct reached a breaking point. Every floorboard creak in Blackwood Falls sounded like a footstep. Suspicion turned inward. Who knew enough about the investigation to plant evidence on Elias? Who was familiar enough with the town's blind spots to snatch Sarah Miller from a crowded street without a single witness? As the investigators pored over the cold cases of the last 5 decades, they realized that the silver coin killer had been operating under their noses, hidden by the very bureaucracy meant to stop him. Every missing person, every unsolved runaway, every accidental drowning in the Blackwood River now took on a sinister new meaning. The detective's office became a graveyard of files, a labyrinth of interconnected tragedies that all led back to one terrifying truth. The killer was someone who knew exactly how the police thought, how they searched, and how they failed. They began to look at the people who were always present but never noticed. The maintenance workers, the delivery drivers, the city clerks. The deeper they dug, the more they realized that Holloway had used his position as a court stenographer to scrub details from official records, subtly altering testimonies to lead investigators away from himself and toward innocent scapegoats like Elias. The psychological toll on Sheriff Thorne was immense. He had sent an innocent man to death row while the real murderer sat feet away from him in the courtroom, documenting the entire farce with rhythmic, mechanical keystrokes. The investigation shifted into a desperate race against time. If Holloway had Sarah Miller, he was likely preparing his grand finale, the abandoned Blackwood grits mill, a skeletal structure of rusted steel and rotting timber on the edge of the county line, became the focal point of the search. It was a place where the wind whistled through broken windows like a morning choir. When Thorne finally breached the heavy iron doors of the mill, the smell of ozone and damp earth was overpowering. In the center of the cavernous main hall, Sarah was bound, surrounded by hundreds of silver coins, a shimmering metallic ocean reflecting the dim light of Thorne's flashlight. Holloway was there, but he wasn't hiding. He was waiting. He spoke not of hate, but of permanence. To him, these victims weren't people. They were entries in a ledger of suffering that he felt compelled to curate. He believed that by taking their lives and marking them with the coins, he was giving them a form of immortality that the mundane world could never offer. The confrontation was short, brutal, and ended in a way that left more questions than answers. Holloway's journals, later recovered from a hidden crawlspace in his home, revealed a terrifying obsession with the concept of the cycle. He wrote about a mentor, someone who had taught him the significance of the coins when he was just a boy. This suggested that the Silver Coin Killer wasn't just one man, but a title passed down through a dark brotherhood or a twisted family lineage. The journals contained descriptions of murders that Holloway couldn't have committed based on his age at the time, indicating that his father or grandfather might have started the tradition. The final coin, the gold sovereign dated for 2028 with Thorne's daughter's name, was the ultimate psychological strike. It suggested that even from the grave, the legacy of the coins would continue. The town of Blackwood Falls never recovered. The local government was dismantled. The police force was overhauled and many residents moved away, unable to bear the weight of the collective guilt. The mill was torn down, but locals say that on quiet nights, you can still hear the faint clinking of coins against stone. The case remains a chilling reminder that sometimes the person who seems most invisible is the one watching you most closely. The question that keeps the survivors awake at night is simple. Who is holding the next coin? If Holloway was just a student of this macabre art, who was the teacher? And more importantly, who is the next student? The gold sovereign implies a timeline that hasn't finished yet. It implies that somewhere out there, someone is preparing for the year 2028, watching Thorne's daughter grow up, waiting for the precise moment to place a gold coin over her heart. The mystery isn't just about who Holloway was, but about who is coming next. Every time a silver coin shows up in a tip jar or a parking meter in Blackwood Falls, a shiver runs through the community. Is it a prank, or is it a signal? The darkness of the Blackwood Woods remains, and the secrets it holds are far deeper than a single grave. What do you think? Was Holloway the end of the line, or was he just a middleman in a century-long tradition of blood? Is the 2028 gold sovereign a genuine threat, or a dead man's last cruel joke? The investigation into the silver coin legacy continues in the shadows, far from the public eye. If you found this case as haunting as we did, make sure you don't miss our next deep dive into the world's most terrifying unsolved mysteries. Subscribe to Midnight Crime Vault and join our community of truth seekers. Turn on notifications to stay updated on every new lead. Until next time, keep your doors locked and stay vigilant. The truth is often closer than you think. Would you like me to explore the hidden journals of Thomas Holloway in a follow-up video? Let us know in the comments. Subscribe for more true crime.